I'm Dylan.
And I'm Keon.
And this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast with knives for hands, because this week we watched Sleeper.
Written by James Moran.
Directed by Colin Teague.
And aired on January 23rd, 2008.
Here we are in Series 2. I don't know why I said here we are, as if we've reached some sort of, great milestone in Torchwood history, when really we're just like, we haven't gone anywhere. We haven't really made it anywhere.
Yeah, we've made like one out of 52, more progress.
Great. I mean, progress is progress, I guess. I do like how Wikipedia has, there's those little info boxes at the bottom, right? And they like show you related articles or whatever. I do like that Wikipedia has one that's Torchwood, Weevil stories, and it's just a drop down of all the stories that the Weevils appear in.
Wow. Yeah, that's some TARDIS wiki level of stuff there.
Thank you, Wikipedia, for gracing me with this knowledge.
You know what they say, knowledge is power. And arming yourself against the future with knowledge of Torchwood Weevil stories.
Is what? His, like, good? Is the next power?
I guess is good, yeah. That's all it is. It's just
is good.
It's just good. Yeah. Which I guess that pretty, accurately describes this episode too. Like, it was just good. It wasn't great. It wasn't really all that.
I was kind of shocked by the whole thing. I was like, whoa, okay, I guess we're really doing this.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a bit woe-inducing, Kind of makes you reevaluate everything you ever thought about Torchwood.
Yeah, I mean, Torchwood continuing to surprise, even into Series 2, when they allegedly start to get a little less adult, still continuing to actually be pretty adult, committing genocide, killing a dad in front of his children, scarring them for life, just attempted genocide of the human race. All the good things you come to Torchwood for. All the good things you come to Doctor Who for, really.
Yeah, in this episode, well, I don't want to say that it was, as violent as Countryside, but it was at least close.
Yeah, I mean, this one was even more terrifying than Countryside, though, because it was, well, okay, in a way it was more terrifying. Countryside was terrifying because it was just regular human people and whatever. But this one's terrifying because the sleeper agents got like dangerously close to just wiping Cardiff off the map.
Yeah, and who's to say that this episode isn't real, This could be going on. We never know.
I mean, I guess we'd never know until they decided to blow us the hell up.
Yeah, true. Well, I didn't have any behind-the-scenes info for this one, so...
Yeah, I didn't really have any either, actually. Except for the explosion of a building that was scheduled to be filmed in Cardiff on the 1st of July 2007, the day after the 2007 Glasgow International Airport attack was in danger of being cancelled.
Huh.
Glasgow Airport attack was a terrorist ramming attack which occurred on the 30th of June 2007 when a dark green Jeep Cherokee loaded with propane canisters was driven at the glass doors of the Glasgow Airport terminal and set ablaze.
Jesus.
The only death was the guy who did it.
Wow. Hank Hill has really really turned over a new leaf. By turned over a new leaf, I mean turned over a leaf of terrorism.
Nailed it. You stuck the landing on that joke. Apparently, they just announced to the public that there was going to be an explosion and that it wasn't a terrorist attack.
Some of you were all right. Stay away from Glasgow International Airport tomorrow.
Terrorist just posts warnings all over social media.
Heads up, guys, gonna bomb the airport tomorrow. Just wanted to let you all know.
Great, just great. So I loaded up the Amazon episode this week, and I started playing the little On the Future thing, and I discovered for the first time that there was a button, skip intro. So
Yeah.
I just pushed it. I was like, I don't want to listen to Jack talk about arming against the future anymore. I'm skipping the intro. And it was great because all it did was like skip forward 30 seconds, maybe not even. It saved me a trivial amount of time.
Yeah, Amazon has had that for a long while.
Yeah, I'm aware. I guess this was just the first time I noticed it on Torchwood, on a Torchwood episode.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't be caught dead pressing that button, but hey, that's just me.
What if there's a man literally holding a gun to your head and saying, if you don't push this button, I'll throw you into an active volcano?
then I guess I'd do it. I mean, it's not worth losing my life over.
Well, you did say you wouldn't be caught dead doing it, so that kind of implied that, that it was worth losing your life over.
It's a figure of speech. Like, imagine if everything was literal.
Wow, that would really suck for all the people who are like, I could eat a horse right now.
Good luck.
So the episode begins, and we open on like an apartment, and we meet Beth and Mike. And someone's breaking into the apartment, so Beth calls 999 and is like, can I get the police? Well, first they ask, like, which emergency service do you need? And she's like, can I have the police, please? I didn't know that was a thing that happened, like, in the UK. Because I think in the US, if you call 911, they just ask you what the problem is and where you are.
Yeah, they do. And if you can't, like, describe it well enough, they just send everyone. They just send the police, fire trucks, and ambulances.
And the National Guard.
Yeah, but I guess in the UK it's like you have to choose. Some countries it's like you got 3 numbers. And
I could barely even remember one, 911, that's really hard to remember.
Yeah. Imagine if it was like a full-length phone number.
There's a gag about that in the IT crowd where the emergency services number gets changed from 999 to a new number, and they have a catchy little jingle. 0118 999 88199 0119 7253. And they've got a whole thing, and then there's a fire in the office, so Moss tries to call the emergency services, and he can't remember their phone number. So he sends them an email instead. It's a really funny gag, actually, because the little ad where they change the phone number is like, we're upgrading emergency services, better ambulances, better looking drivers, quicker response times. All you have to do is remember this phone number. I'll put it in the show notes because it's a pretty funny gag, and it's only about a minute or two long.
Well, cramming comedy gold into a minute. It's,
yeah.
More than this episode did. This episode crammed comedy pyrite into like 50 minutes.
I don't think this episode was trying to go for comedy.
No, it wasn't, and it didn't. I just made that up. I guess you could think that this was funny. Maybe. perhaps.
I would be seriously concerned if someone sat there like, oh, ha ha ha, that's really funny. Killing a dad in front of his kids. Ha ha, nuclear war, that's a knee slapper.
Yeah.
Like, I would probably be like, hmm. And then I'd be like, all right, well, I'll just stay away from that person.
Yeah, not too difficult now.
Probably.
So, yeah, I mean, the episode begins with, a fairly violent scene, as we kind of mentioned before. You don't really know what happens. It's kind of ambiguous at this point, but the people breaking into the house are attacked by, either Beth or whatever the guy's name was, or someone. Like, you don't really know what's
Mike.
happening.
Yeah, we just hear the robbers screaming and we see nothing. We see, like, the ground.
Like
They're
that
screaming.
Like that shot in was it Aliens or was it Alien 3 where it's just like a panning shot of like the ground.
I think it was Alien 3. That sounds more like something that would appear in Alien 3
Yeah.
than Aliens.
You're right.
There's an easy way to decide if something was an Aliens or Alien 3, and that's doesn't make sense. And if the answer is yes, then it's in either Alien or Aliens. But if the answer is no, then it's an Alien 3. I remember watching those movies. That was in the before times.
Yeah.
And the greatest line of dialogue ever, except for that line from X-Men. You shouldn't trust us. We're murderers and rapists of women. Did you also forget about Storm's solid gold line in the first X-Men? Do you know what happens to toads when they get struck by lightning? Same thing as everybody else.
Yeah, no, that's some comedy gold,
Only because you're like, how did this line get past not only the writers, but also the script editors, but also like the director and Halle Berry herself sat there, read that line, and was like, yes, I will say this.
That one, like, why is that considered bad? Like, I just laugh at that because it is considered bad, but why is it, like, really when you think about it, why is that line considered not good?
I guess because the like, do you know what happens to a toad when it gets struck by lightning seems like it's going to set you up for some sort of, suave, cool, witty quip of some sort. But then the punchline is just same thing as everybody else, delivered in the most monotone way possible. Like,
and that's what makes it good. I've completely changed my mind on that line in the last 5 seconds. It's actually great.
all right, well, that's well within your right to do that.
And it's well within Torchwood's right to kidnap and psychologically torture, as we're about to find out.
Well, as you texted me, what did you say? Torchwood. Beyond morals. What did you text me? It was really funny.
Now. I guess I can just check.
It was Torchwood, outside morality, beyond ethics.
Yeah, not looking good for Torchwood this week.
It's not Torchwood's best look.
No, not at all. And that's
So
saying something.
these robbers get murdered. The police show up at the worst time possible, by which I mean after the whole event has already gone down.
Yeah, show up with donuts after it's all happened.
I want to know where that stereotype originated. But anyway. The cops are like, what happened here? And both Mike and Beth are like, dunno, wasn't us. And the cops are like, right, I believe that.
Yeah, we get another little cameo from PC Andy.
Yeah.
He sort of fulfills the same role here, where he kind of side eyes Gwen for just everything.
There was an Amazon X-ray fun fact of the week that occurred right here when Andy showed up, and it was actually kind of a massive spoiler, so I don't think I'm gonna share it, actually.
Dang, yeah, Amazon spoiling left and right. I got spoiled this week as to when Reese discovers Torchwood, or is introduced to Torchwood.
Yeah, thanks to the freaking Amazon episode descriptions, right?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, Amazon just dropping spoilers.
Yeah. So Torchwood is there. They're questioning Beth and now why can't I remember his name? Questioning Beth and Mike. Damn, I didn't even write down his name. I wrote down his actor's name. Let me just write down Mike real quick, even though he's not a big part of the episode. There we go. Yeah, they question Beth, and Owen thinks she did it for some reason. He picks up on something that she says, and he's like, "Yeah, she did it." To which Gwen responds like, "You can't know that for sure, Owen." And weirdly enough, he's like, "Yeah, yes, you're right." And then she guesses, I think, that Mike did it. And, these are pretty good guesses because it's like, why aren't they guessing aliens? Like, they were called in specifically because of the mysteries surrounding this break-in and the deaths.
Yeah, again, another instance where Torchwood has freaking been called into an incident that, like, reasonably they wouldn't necessarily be called out to. Like, this is just a domestic home invasion, and they're like, call in the para government organization. This is a matter of national security.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that kind of speaks to something that I kind of felt while watching this episode, which is that this felt like an entirely different show. I don't know if you got the same impression, but like the characters just felt so off to me, especially Ianto.
Oh yeah, Ianto felt way out of character.
He was.
Although maybe this is just his character moving forward. I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
Maybe, yeah. I was about to say the same thing. Maybe we're seeing a shift in Ianto, but like he was the snarky comic relief in this episode, which he really has never been.
Yeah, he was actually pretty funny in this episode. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I was like weirded out by the weird character shift, but I also did think he was pretty funny in this episode with his deadpan humor.
Yeah, and I would guess that that's just this episode, just James Moran, maybe, because Owen also kind of has that weird, like, off-putting style of humor a bit later.
Owen was like, Owen was my WTF Owen moment of the week. Originally was going to be freaking Owen being nice and getting coffee for Gwen because he's never been nice. So that was my WTF moment because I was like, WTF Owen, are you nice now? But then he came back later in the episode with a suitably WTF line for me to put into that segment.
Yeah. So Gwen is questioning one of the burglars who survived, and he wakes up because he's out cold, but he wakes up, and Gwen tries to get the information out of him, but he dies. But he says it was Beth.
Yeah.
Which
he says, keep her away from me.
Which prompts Torchwood to remove Beth from the hospital and, I would say play good cop, bad cop with her, but they're not. They're just skipping that whole first one.
They basically kidnap her.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not even basically. They straight up do kidnap her. I was surprised to learn that people just use the term kidnapping to refer to, like, even when adults get taken, I guess that just surprised me because I figured like kidnapping.
Adult
But
napping,
anyway,
yeah, yes. Cat napping, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't.
so they take her to the secret interrogation room that they interrogated Susie in, bringing that right back.
Yeah, they inform her that she like has no rights and that she's not going to be getting a lawyer or the cops or anyone at all. No phone call, no this is Torchwood. Welcome to Torchwood.
Yeah. Also, like, really showing off how great Torchwood is at keeping state secrets because they just parade Beth right through the middle of Torchwood, like just right through it. They show her Torchwood, like
Yeah,
everything.
and I was honestly thinking at this point in the episode that Beth was going to be a new member of Torchwood. Like she was gonna, because I didn't know, I hadn't spoiled anything. I didn't know that she was like a sleeper agent or anything like that. And I was like, oh my god, she's a new member because they have that whole scene where she is introduced to like the wonders of Torchwood. And we see her like looking around in awe at the Torchwood HQ.
Right.
But no.
Yeah, they just give away Torchwood to her. I mean, I bet this is how Reese is going to find out about Torchwood. He'll just walk in and they'll be like, "Hey, Reese, come on in. Take a look at what we're doing."
Oh god, is Reese gonna die brutally?
Everyone who finds out about Torchwood dies except for the main cast members and all the like government agents who are leaking information about Torchwood.
Yeah, there is a question, how much of what people know about Torchwood is like leaks and stuff, because it seems it's pretty inconsistent, I guess. Like some people know about Torchwood and others don't, which I guess is realistic. But yeah, like that random old woman last week knew about Torchwood. Here, like some people kind of do, some don't. Or like, yeah, I guess PC Andy did obviously, but like, yeah, Beth didn't know what Torchwood was. So yeah, I don't know.
Beth knew what Torchwood was subconsciously.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Because she knew all about Torchwood secretly.
Well, they decide to perform some experiments on Beth. I have no idea why they decide to do this at this point. Can't really remember what the reasoning was. But they basically bring her to their little hospital area. And Owen starts, great doctor. Owen just really, really cluing us into what kind of doctor he was, just waving around the needle, totally nonchalant, not caring about the patient whatsoever.
What were they doing again? They were shoot. They wanted to like take a blood sample because they wanted to know if they could find out what's going on there.
Right.
That way.
Basically. So Owen tries to do that, but the needle keeps breaking on contact with Beth's arm.
Right. And then he pulls out a scalpel and she's like, "What are you doing?" And the scalpel just snaps.
Yeah. Imagine if it didn't. Imagine if you just like ended up stabbing her Billis style.
Billis would be proud. This is everything he ever wanted for Torchwood.
God. Yeah, at this point things get really dark as Torchwood decides that she's an alien. No more question about it. I mean, and just starts exercising their limitless like power that they have.
Yeah, they basically start psychologically torturing her. They're like, "Tell us what you know. Tell us how you did it." And she's like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And they're like, "Yes, you do. You know."
They imprison her, show her the weevils. Yeah, and basically, yeah, exactly that. They just psychologically torture her, and to some extent physically as well.
The weevils like back down from her.
Right.
They're like scared of her.
She's emitting I forget what they say. She's emitting some sort of like radio wave or something.
She's emitting like an electromagnetic field of some sort.
Right.
Um, so that's why they think she's involved somehow because she's like emitting this radio, this EM wave basically that doesn't make any sense. The lights keep flickering like when she gets stressed or anxious.
Which we saw in the her room at the beginning as well. There was like a fallen lamp that was flickering.
Right.
So they decide to use the mind probe.
Yeah, this thing they've never mentioned before, but they act as if they've always had it in the arsenal.
Well, they probably have. They probably just never mentioned it.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
Unlike, when the Doctor mind connects with people on Doctor Who, this is like a frightening thing that they have.
Yeah, this was. They put it on her, and she's like, "Will this hurt?" And Jack just goes, "Yes."
Yeah, and
She's like, "You'll need to work on your bedside manner."
well, what it is they basically strap her to this chair, lock her in, and put this sort of helmet on her that lets them probe deep into her mind.
Yeah, deep into her subconscious, and they're like, "If there's anything in your subconscious, the mind probe will find it." And they're like, "Huh? All right then."
And lo and behold, they actually don't find anything. They're like, Tosh is sort of manning the battle station, so to speak, and she's like, "Yeah, there's nothing here." And Jack just keeps urging them to go deeper. And yeah, Beth is like visibly in physical pain. And yeah, kind of uncomfortable to watch.
And then eventually something just like snaps. And she starts talking about what does she say? I didn't actually write it down, but she basically says she keeps repeating this phrase in like an alien language.
Right, which Jack translates to inform the rest of Torchwood that she's a sleeper agent from an unnamed species that has invaded Earth and is gathering information, waiting for the attack.
Right, and she's basically just repeating her ID code.
There's her name, rank, and serial number.
Name, rank, and serial number. That's right.
And yeah, this alien species is infiltrated.
Yeah, and Jack says that he's never actually seen one of them in person. He's only heard like legends of these sleeper agents invading planets, taking over, basically destroying society from the inside. And if she activates, or if they activate, they're basically screwed because they're like impossible to kill because they've got like a shield around their skin. And they look exactly like humans. They think they're humans. Great.
Right. So how this works, I guess, is... So Beth is not, human at all, but she, I guess, is part of their sleeper agent's plot is to, like, convince themselves or repress their memories and so that they can fit in better with human society until the flip switch gets flipped.
And then, yeah, Jack explains, because they tell Beth, they're like, well, we should probably tell her what's going on. Jack makes the ethical decision for once, I guess. And they tell her that, when she activates her memories as one of her original species, plus all the information she knows will, like, take over and she won't remember any of her human memories anymore.
Right. Which prompts some, scenes of dilemma for her. She's obviously really distraught over... Well, I don't want to gloss over these. She's obviously very distraught about all of this. And Gwen gives her some pretty non-reassuring reassurance.
Non-reassuring reassurance. None of them are really giving Beth any reassurance here. Really.
Yeah, frankly, seems like not a single one of them cares.
Even Gwen's a little bit what's the word? A little bit just
Detached.
detached, flippant. Just unconcerned.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a great look, Torchwood. So it turns out that like the time is now. Like the invasion begins.
Yeah. It seems like it's implied that the invasion begins because they disconnected Beth from the network.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. It just cuts ahead like 35 years and it's like, all right, it's time.
Gwen, Owen, Ianto, and Tosh are all old pensioners now.
Yeah. But yeah, we see scenes of other people across. Well, I don't know how far the scope of this goes, actually. I think it's just across Cardiff.
I think it's just across Cardiff, and I think there's only like 3 of them.
Yeah, there was 3 plus Beth, I think, is what it was. So,
Yeah, because 2 of them get destroyed when they blow up that tanker and die.
yeah, so there was that guy, and then there was the woman who was pushing a stroller, which, in a really sensationalist move, gets run over by a car. And then there was the guy who is just talking about work in a apartment/flat that looks remarkably close to Gwen's.
Yeah, I thought it was Gwen's at first. I was like, what is this? Is this like...
2 random people just decide to move in.
It's a change of mind, but for Torchwood.
So he's just talking, and all of a sudden he just drops everything, leaves, goes to some guy's house. We find out who this is later, and kills him.
He also kills his wife. Because she's like,
Oh, right,
what's
yeah,
going
he
on?
snaps his wife's neck. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he just casually walks over, snaps the neck, and leaves. And I was like, whoa, okay. All right, whoa.
He was actually, it looked like he was going to walk out the door, and then she was like, hey, what the heck is going on? So he looks back, and he walks over, snaps her neck, and leaves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dang. So it turns out that the guy that this guy kills is, I forget what exactly his role was, but he was someone important in the running of Cardiff.
Yeah, he's the guy who takes over... in the case of an emergency in the city, he's the guy who takes over.
Right.
Because they also blow up the power line that supplies emergency power in the case of an emergency.
Right, throwing the entire city into disarray.
Even though no one really knows what's going on, so it's not that much of disarray. That's just a thing. Everyone's just like, oh, people are dying. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, even Torchwood doesn't know until the police are like, oh, actually, Torchwood doesn't even know till they feel the shockwave from the explosion, and they're like, wait, what?
Right, because what they're doing at this point is they're cryo-freezing Beth, because they don't have any way to stop her from being activated, and they don't want to just kill her.
Yeah, so they decide to freeze her, also in the hope that in the future they'll be able to find a way to make her actually human. That's a
Right.
big hope.
But once
But-
they feel this shockwave, they realize that she's like gone.
They say that they thought she was dead because the like implant simulated the loss of vital signs, so they didn't know. And they're like, well, that must take a lot of power. She might be dying. So they decide to try and hunt her down by tracking, like basically just tracking the EM waves. Oh, I missed my Amazon fun fact of the week. Totally forgot we had even gone past this. But the kid, when the guy goes to kill the city manager or whatever, he's got his two kids there. And that boy is apparently the kid who plays the young master in Utopias and Sound of the Drums.
Huh.
When we have those flashback scenes where the master looks into the time vortex and goes insane.
Yeah, well, really saving on budget there. That was around this time, so why not?
Yeah, why not?
Fill
Why not?
two roles with one stone, like actor who doesn't portray emotion whatsoever. Just kidding. Just kidding. It's a child actor known for not like being good. Not him specifically, but just child actors in general.
Yeah, I mean, Doctor Who generally doesn't get bad child actors.
No, you're right
Probably.
about that. Yeah. So it turns out that Beth has gone to see Mike, and she tells him that she has to like leave, but she wanted to say goodbye. And Mike is like, "Wait, what the heck is going on? Like, this can't be happening." She's like, "It is, Mike. It's happening." And yeah, she needs to leave before she hurts him or anyone else. But that doesn't happen because she unconsciously, subconsciously, whatever, stabs him through the stomach. And yeah, he doesn't survive. He doesn't survive this.
This surprised me. I didn't see this coming.
I didn't either. Mostly because we didn't have. Oh, well, maybe we did with the guy. I forget so the guy who gets stabbed, does he get stabbed with like a knife, or does he get stabbed with like the hand knives of the sleepers? Because like when you pan down to Beth's arm, and it's an alien arm with a blade on the end of it.
She's like, "What is this? How did this activate? What's happening?"
Torchwood breaks in and breaks her out of the hospital, getting her the heck out of there as they hunt down.
You make it sound like it's some sort of big dramatic jailbreak, but all they really do is grab her and run out the front door.
Yeah. And yeah, they have to hunt down the last guy.
Yeah, they have to hunt down the freaking killing machine. This guy. We really should have written his name down, but I don't know if we even get his name. There's a power outlet, all the cell phone networks are down, I think, because of the explosion. So the Torchwood team is trying to contact Jack, but all the cell phone towers are down because Jack and Gwen go out with Beth to hunt down this guy. And the cell phone towers go down while they're out because Beth can apparently track other sleeper agents because she's kind of she's still conscious as Beth, but she can tap into her alien sleeper agent vibes, I guess, skills.
Into her inner alien invader-ness. Yeah. Meanwhile, there's some tonal whiplash at Torchwood because Tosh, Ianto, and Owen are all, obviously tracking all of this. They're all on the case. And they're like, yeah, guess the world's going to be ending now. And you just...
Yeah, because the guy's going to like some abandoned field, and so Tosh looks it up, and she's like, "There's nothing there." And then Ianto has to like dig through the archives and find these ancient maps, and it's like, so there's a mine shaft there. And then Tosh, I guess, hacks into Unit, yeah, or something. Freaking Unit getting hacked into every week on Doctor Who, and reveals that there's. The military is basically using the abandoned mines as like a storage zone for nukes.
At which point Owen goes, "You know what? Let's all just have sex." And, we want, on Triple Play, a movie trilogy podcast, check that out. Desperately Needs Listeners. Another podcast we do. We called Despicable Me.
It'll be coming back soon.
Yeah, we called Despicable Me the surrealist masterpiece of modern times. But really, like, it's this scene.
No, I mean, I don't think anything can top Despicable Me, especially Despicable Me 3.
No, yeah.
Actually,
right.
2. I think 2 was the perfect balance between surrealism and self-aware comedy. Despicable Me leaned too far into its self-awareness of the fact that it's just a total money grab by Illumination Entertainment.
Well, okay, I didn't expect this, but Minions: The Rise of Gru was actually, I think, a step back in the right direction. And yeah, I discussed that with Steven on a delayed replay, which Steven's been on this show a couple times in the past. And I would strongly suggest meta. Minions: Rise of Gru.
This is getting really meta for when that movie actually comes out and someone listens to this.
No.
They're gonna think you're giving a legitimate recommendation here.
Why have you revealed the joke? Why have you explained the joke? I can't believe you've done this.
Because to quote you from like 100 episodes ago, explaining the joke makes it funnier. Or you said something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing.
Damn.
But you did this. You, the past version of you, undermined the jokes the future version of you would make.
Damn. That's just my luck, I guess. But no, yeah, Delayed Replay is a fun podcast, though, that you should check out, because Steven is reviewing movies that aren't actually out.
Yeah, that's how I got the ability to review Jungle Cruise, and Jungle Cruise was A-OK.
Yeah, Minions: Rise of Gru is probably actually going to just be freaking terrible.
I mean, it'll just be another surrealist masterpiece.
Yeah, and that's really what the world needs right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kind of like how what the Torchwood world needs right now is just death by massive explosion.
So Jack's gunning it into the military base while this guy just Terminator cuts down everyone there.
Yeah, okay, so we did mention that Unit was using it. Or not Unit, but the military. I call them Unit because of about what's about to happen, which is very Unit-like.
What, the fact that they all just die completely, like, without making a dent at all?
Because, yeah, the guy, like we mentioned, is just Terminator-style, like, killing everyone. And they're just there shooting their conventional weapons. Like, I mean, this is 5 rounds rapid updated for the modern era. It's just not working. And they're just not getting the hint.
Or like 5 rounds slow. Wow, that joke didn't land at all.
Yeah, just add it to the pile. I mean, that's what our hundreds upon hundreds of hours of recording is. Like, encapsulated into 3 seconds.
Well, I feel like we've recorded so many episodes that there has to be... I feel like I'm confident in saying that every person can find at least one joke in the 350 plus episodes of our podcasts that they find funny.
Yeah, there's comedy gold in there somewhere, mixing all the comedy pyrite.
So anyway, Gwen's like, how do you plan to stop him? And Jack's like this, and just runs the guy over.
Yeah. Dang, Torchwood. I don't think James Moran has written anything in the past, but man, wow.
He wrote Fires of Pompeii.
Oh, okay. Well, that was for Doctor Who.
Which would be in the future from this.
Yeah,
that'd be in the future from this.
Yeah. And that also incorporates, Torchwood incorporates Peter Capaldi not playing the 12th Doctor, and so does that episode, as far as we know. They could still
wow.
they could still come back and be like, yeah, that was the Doctor. Remember Caecilius? Yeah, it was the Doctor. Could still do it.
Wow. What a trip.
It would be very out of the ordinary. I would be hugely surprised if, series 13 just came back and name dropped Caecilius.
I would immediately stop watching the show because nothing would be able to top that sheer gold moment.
I mean, they did bring back Alpha Centauri after nearly 50 years.
That's true. So it's possible. So what you're saying is it's possible that in 50 years,
Oh my God.
Doctor Who season 53 will just casually name drop Caecilius, and all the true fans of Doctor Who have been watching since the David Tennant era will be like, "Wow, that's a throwback."
Yeah, I can't wait for the discourse in 15 to 20 years of man, Doctor Who sucks. Remember the Chibnall era? Remember how great Jodie Whittaker was? And it's just not the same anymore. Doctor Who, 1963 to 2022 only, or whatever.
Can't wait for Chris Chibnall to leave and for the next person to come in and everyone to say it's the worst thing ever, that Doctor Who sucks.
Yeah, and don't forget the part where Chris Chibnall can now do no wrong and is the literal savior of the franchise. Don't forget that key aspect.
Anyway, they basically just have a little talk with the guy. Gwen shocks him with the EMP that they used to disconnect Beth from the network. And then Jack's like, well, you can't do anything now. You've got no shield. And the guy's like, yeah, right. And Jack's like, oh, yeah, feel this. And just shoots him in the shoulder. And the guy's like, oh, God, you're right. Oh, God.
Okay, I'm sorry. No. So he basically just dies.
Yep.
And catastrophe is narrowly avoided. Although not entirely, because Beth is still around, and who knows when the next signal is going to go off. Which Beth herself, brings up to Gwen. She's like, she starts questioning whether she's human enough to suppress the directive.
The murderous rage.
Yeah. And Gwen says that, as long as she feels human, as long as she considers herself human, she is one, because it's what's inside that counts.
Mm-hmm.
But Beth's not buying it. She's like, I'm going to wipe out humanity one of these days. So she decides to take matters into her own hands and pretend to take Gwen at gunpoint.
Except it's more like she's pretending, but you don't really know if she's pretending unless you're Gwen, and she's like, no, she's pretending, because nobody else heard this conversation between her and Gwen, so everybody just has to take Gwen's word for it, and they don't. They don't.
Yeah, they gun her down, Lisa style.
Yes. The one thing that that Torchwood is really good at.
Yeah.
Firing lines.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Firing
Wow.
squads.
Yeah, and we were talking about Baudrillard and simulacra and simulation on Inevitable Classic Sci-Fi Podcast. Check that out. So I went back and reread much of it, not all of it, but much of it, and it really hit home because one of the things he talks about in there is like he's like, and he says it really snarkily, I imagine, which is
boy.
how do you simulate a holdup? Like he's like, go ahead, try it. Like it's not going to work because like the simulation and the actual thing of that are the exact same thing. He's like, go and get a gun and hold someone at gunpoint but simulate it. And I forget what his ultimate point that there is, but I guess it's just that there's some reproducible actions that have no difference between quote unquote reality and quote unquote simulation. Where it's like, yeah, if you're sticking someone up for money, if whether you're simulating it or not, you're going through those actions, so, and that are recognized as yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, you can't really simulate threatening someone's life without really actually threatening their life.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah, like the simulation is the real thing. Kind of.
Yeah, this doesn't exactly mesh with that completely, but it just kind of made me think of it.
It's along the same lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were shades of that thinking there, There were shades.
After Beth dies, Gwen is obviously distraught. She tells the rest of the team what happened. And then they have some really ham-fisted stuff. I mean, it's very in your face. It's very explain the dilemma, explain the mental process of why this all matters type thing. Where Gwen goes or someone says she wasn't human anymore, Gwen's like, no. She used her last shred of humanity to do this. To save all of us. Like, all right, yes, I get it. Not that I don't, like that as a plot point or whatever, but it's just like, all right, you really have to spell it out.
I mean, they talk about how she would have known that if she threatened Gwen that they would kill her, and
yeah,
she took advantage of that. They basically just spell it out for you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Torchwood.
Really damn obvious already with any of this. But hey.
Well, I was too dumb to figure it out on my own, so I appreciated Torchwood explaining it.
Yeah, gotcha.
Probably shouldn't. Probably not a joke I should put out into the world, but too late now.
So the episode ends with Gwen having this really awkward conversation with Jack where she's like, yeah, so Friday night. And Jack's like, yeah, I guess we should all just go home. And
yep.
Gwen asks him, how are we gonna, how do we know that there's not any more of them out there? Jack's like, we don't, but we're gonna be ready if there are. Just an obvious lie.
Yeah.
And I somehow think that these invaders are never gonna be mentioned again.
I mean, they probably won't. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
They probably won't.
That's the thing with introducing, aliens of this type in an episodic show, which is this is a universe encompassing thing. Could massively destroy everything. And they're never going to show up again.
Well, we don't know that.
They're probably never going to show up.
We don't know that. Just have a little faith in Chris Chibi. Have Have a little
Frankly, I
faith.
don't want them to show up again because this episode was I think it was good, but it wasn't like the best. And frankly, I know I shouldn't be mixing up like analyzing whether I thought the episode, whether I enjoyed the episode or not, and thought it was good or not, with like the moral, the morality and of the characters. Like those are two separate things, I think. But something about it rubs me. Something about Torchwood's morality, like, rubs me in what is so completely the wrong way that it's affecting my judgment of the episode, I think.
Yeah, Torchwood definitely doesn't have the like moral high ground in this episode at all.
No, they were
And
they were the chosen
I don't know.
ones.
I think that does kind of, yeah,
Sorry.
that does kind of like it can affect your your enjoyment of the episode because you just like what is even like going on right now? Why? Like especially in this episode where they just like tortured Beth and then just firing squad killer at the end. You're just like, Torchwood seems, and maybe that's part of the thing about introducing this galaxy-wide threat is that Torchwood is in like way over their heads.
Yeah, and I don't even know if we should bring this up, but I'm going to anyway. There's also like the race aspect of all of this, which is, I don't know.
That's particularly uncomfortable to watch in like today's climate.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Especially since like I don't know, it does kind of play out like she's got Gwen at gunpoint. Gwen's like, "Don't shoot." She doesn't actually want to kill me, and then they just gun her down. Yikes!
Yep.
Yikes! Yikes!
Boy.
I hadn't even considered that till you brought it up, and now that I'm thinking about it, I'm just like, oh wow, you're right. That is just like
Yeah.
really awkward to
Yep.
watch in today's climate, and that's something we talked about, like when we started this show, how it was going to be really interesting watching the show in today's climate with the anti-police sentiment that's going around, and then watching a show where like our lead character was a policewoman, and now she's part of this super police organization.
Yeah, with even less accountability and even more freedom to do whatever the hell they want.
Does Torchwood even have accountability? Like, let's really think about this. Who's
I mean,
who's to keep Torchwood accountable themselves? And they never really do that.
Yeah, they failed like miserably almost every single week. And that's true. We've never seen Jack like reporting to anyone. Jack is like where it all stops.
Jack has basically unilateral control over Torchwood.
Yeah, they have a ridiculous amount of power.
Yep. Yep. And no accountability. No oversight, really. I mean, they've definitely just like killed people and just not reported it to anyone. Remember when Gwen joined and she used to call them out on the fact that they had all these bodies stored like in their basement for when they needed to fake someone's death?
Yeah, that was used as comic relief, but like looking at it through the lens of 15, now having watched 15 episodes, it's like, wow, yeah, that was definitely just set up for what was to come.
Yeah. Shocking.
Maybe that's what the team meant when like they wanted to create a Doctor Who spinoff that was more mature, where it's like the Doctor isn't always righteous, but the episodes usually make it out like he is, whether he is in your opinion or not. Whereas Torchwood, I don't think necessarily does that.
That's true. There's never been a real moment where the episode has presented Torchwood as being righteous. I think actually that's one of the things I do like about this show is that they do always seem to say, well, Torchwood's like not good people. Yeah, they're like the last line of defense against the aliens, but like they're not good people, and they're like just kids basically in the grand cosmic scheme of things, running around with technology they don't understand, trying to save the world.
Yeah, and they are extremely dysfunctional as a team.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't really have anything, any sort of topics to talk about other than what we kind of just did. But
yeah, the only one I also wanted to touch on besides that was the like parallels between this and Fugitive of the Jadoon, where the main characters meet someone who like doesn't remember who they are, and then they've got these subconscious memories that supplant the real ones. And that's like as far as the comparison really extends, but it was just something I was thinking about while I was watching this, since I was talking about the parallels between Torchwood and Spyfall
Series
last
11
week.
and 12.
Yeah, Series 11 and 12. And so I was thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, there's kind of like shades of Fugitive of the Jadoon in here.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
Of course, like Joe Martin's Doctor doesn't get gunned down by a firing squad at the end of the episode, but she does try to self-sacrifice at the end of the episode to the Jadoon, and then the 13th Doctor's like, haha, no.
Yeah, true.
Which could play into the kind of like the Doctor's always righteous and Torchwood isn't line theme there. But yeah, just interesting. Anyway.
Yeah, no, real quick, I had a question. So, what the hell was Tosh wearing this week? I know we had that on, when we watched, what the hell was Sapphire wearing this week when we watched Sapphire and Steel on Inevitable, a classic sci-fi podcast. But, like, I don't know, it was just so weird. Like, she was wearing this